What if you woke up today and discovered, completely out of nowhere, that you had an extra 3 full days hidden in your week?
Oh, that sounds like a dream.
Right, just 3 whole days you didn't even know about with zero obligations, just waiting for you to use them however you want.
Yeah, I mean, most people would kill for that kind of time.
Totally. It sounds like a total fantasy, especially when most of us are, running on empty, feeling like we barely have time to breathe, let alone chase our actual dreams.
Exactly.
But what if that time is actually there, like right now, just buried under all the chaos of your schedule?
It's a completely different paradigm, and frankly, it is incredibly confronting when you first realize it.
It really is. So today, we are exploring a revolutionary approach to how you view your schedule.
And we should clarify, this isn't about just working harder.
Definitely not. It is absolutely not about sleeping less or just drinking more caffeine to power through. It's about uncovering the hidden pockets of time you already possess so you can build a life you actually love.
Which is such a powerful shift.
It is. And hey, before we dive into the deep end here, I want to quickly invite you to join our community. If you want to keep uncovering brilliant, life-changing ideas and really transform how you see the world, make sure you subscribe to the BookSnap channel.
Yeah, we have so many incredible explorations coming your way.
We really do, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. But for right now, our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the core concepts from this amazing book, 168 Hours by Laura Vanderkam.
Yes, and the foundational premise of Vanderkam's work is, well, it beautifully simple, but it completely disrupts how we normally operate.
Oh, absolutely.
We are conditioned to think we live our lives in 24-hour days. But we don't. We live them in 168-hour weeks.
Right, 168 hours.
Exactly. And making that mental shift from this daily grind to a weekly canvas, I mean, it completely redefines our relationship with productivity and happiness.
Okay, so let's unpack this calculation because when we look at the actual literal math of our lives, the whole "I am entirely out of time" argument just it falls apart pretty quickly.
It really does. The math doesn't lie.
Right. We just need to breeze through the arithmetic so we can get to the psychology of it all. So you have 168 hours in a single week.
Okay.
Let's assume you sleep a healthy 8 hours a night. That is 56 hours of sleep. Subtract that, and you're at 112.
Still a lot of time.
Right. Now, let's say you work a standard full-time 40-hour week. You subtract that 40, and you are left with exactly 72 hours.
Yep, 72 hours.
72 hours of completely unallocated free time every single week. If you divide that by 24, that is the equivalent of 3 full consecutive days of time that belongs entirely to you.
3 full days. And yet, I mean, if you stop someone on the street and ask how their week is going, what is the default answer?
Oh, it's always, "I'm swamped, I'm drowning."
Right. I don't have a single minute to myself. What's so fascinating here is the massive psychological disconnect.
Yeah, because the numbers say one thing, but we feel something totally different.
Exactly. If we objectively possess 72 hours of unallocated time, why are we all walking around feeling chronically impoverished when it comes to time?
Right. It's like looking at your bank statement at the end of the month and realizing you aren't broke because of your rent or your car payment. You're broke because you've been unknowingly buying like hundreds of tiny, overpriced cups of coffee.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. The time isn't vanishing into grand, heavily scheduled obligations, is it?
Not at all. You aren't losing those 72 hours to massive side projects or cross-country flights. Time just evaporates in the tiny, uncalculated gaps.
The gaps.
Yeah, it disappears through aimless browsing on your phone or random television watching just because the remote was sitting there.
Oh, guilty as charged.
Right, and hesitation between tasks and incredibly scattered, inefficient chores. But to really understand this, we have to look at the underlying mechanism. Like, why do our brains deceive us so badly about how much time we're actually spending?
Yeah, how can I feel in my bones that I worked a grueling 12-hour day when the math says I only really worked 6?
Well, it's because the human brain is just a terrible timekeeper. It doesn't measure literal minutes on a clock. It measures the emotional effort and the cognitive friction of the time spent.
Oh, cognitive friction. Unpack that for me.
So this is a crucial distinction. Hard, stressful, or highly cognitive work feels incredibly long because it drains your mental energy battery rapidly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Conversely, low-friction or entirely mindless activities like doom scrolling through short-form videos feel incredibly short because they require basically zero cognitive load.
Oh, wow. So time dilates and compresses based on how stressed my brain is.
Exactly. You might collapse on the couch at 6 p.m. and genuinely feel like you worked all day. But if we looked at the objective data, it might show you only did about 4 or 5 hours of actual deep focused work.
Wait, really? Only 4 or 5?
Yeah. The rest of the time was spent context switching, worrying about emails, or just experiencing the emotional exhaust of being at a desk. Your brain logs the exhaustion, not the hours.
That is wild. But I have to be honest, though. If our brains are acting as these incredibly unreliable narrators, how do we actually find those missing 72 hours?
Well, that's the hard part.
Right, we can't just wish them into existence. We have to measure the reality. Which brings us to the book's recommendation of the time log. Tracking your time meticulously for a full week, literally hour by hour.
Yes, the time log.
And I have to push back here. Tracking every single hour of my week sounds exhausting. I mean, I already feel judged by my smartwatch telling me to stand up. Now I have to interrogate myself every 60 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Like, does this actually help, or does it just make us neurotic about every passing second?
That is the most common and entirely understandable reaction. It feels like adding a completely new chore to a life that already feels way too busy.
Exactly.
But it misses the core philosophy of the exercise. This is not about time management. The goal isn't to figure out how to cram 3 more meetings into your Tuesday so you can be some hyper-productive robot.
Oh, okay. So what is it about?
It is about life management. The time log is simply an audit. It's a diagnostic tool to find your baseline truth.
So it's not a permanent lifestyle change, just a temporary reality check.
Precisely. And when people actually do the time log, the results are universally shocking.
How are they usually find?
They discover they work way fewer hours than they claim, they actually sleep slightly more than they think, and they waste an absolute mountain of time on things they don't even care about.
Wow.
Yeah, once you see the truth of your baseline, the fog lifts. And that is when you can implement what the author calls reverse planning.
Okay, now, this is where I get a little tripped up. Reverse planning or top-down planning sounds great in theory. You imagine your ideal life 3 or 5 years from now. You identify the activities that make it ideal, like writing a novel or spending deep time with your kids, and you put those on your schedule first.
That's the mechanism, yes.
You literally block out the time for the dream life before you schedule the laundry.
Exactly. You anchor your week with what is most important.
But wait, if I put write a novel on my calendar first, what happens when life actually happens?
What do you mean?
Like, my boss still needs that report by Tuesday. The dog still needs to go to the vet. It feels like this only works for people who have total, absolute control over their schedules, which is, almost nobody. How does this survive contact with reality?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it survives because of how it forces the mundane tasks to adapt.
Yeah.
You aren't ignoring your boss or the dog.
Okay.
What reverse planning does is constrain the trivial to make room for the essential. Think of Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion.
Oh, right.
If you leave your evenings completely open and plan to get around to your novel after the chores are done, the chores will magically take all evening.
They totally will. They will expand to fill the void.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you block out Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for your novel, suddenly you are forced to be far more efficient with your necessary mundane tasks. You force your brain to find faster ways to do the laundry or reply to emails because you have a hard boundary.
Okay, I see. So we've reclaimed our work hours by focusing deeply. We constrain the time we allow for the daily grind. But here's my fear.
Yeah.
I take those newly found hours, I optimize my work, I get home, and I immediately lose that time to the sheer volume of household maintenance. Cooking, cleaning, groceries. How do we stop the domestic grind from eating our 72 hours?
This is where we have to drastically change our approach to chores. Household chores are a massive time sink precisely because of the repetition and the randomness.
Right, they never end.
You do the dishes, and 3 hours later, there are more dishes. The strategy here isn't to become a speed cleaning expert. The goal is to reduce the cognitive load of your life.
It's not like trying to bail water out of a leaky boat with a spoon. To me, it feels more like leaving 20 heavy applications open on your smartphone in the background.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, even if you aren't actively using them, they are eating up your RAM and draining your battery. Just the awareness that the kitchen is messy drains your mental energy.
That is a brilliant analogy. The background apps are a perfect way to look at it. To close those background apps, the book suggests batching, delegating, automating, and minimizing.
Okay.
But let's look at why those actually work. Why does batch cooking on a Sunday save time compared to cooking every single night? It isn't just about the physical minutes spent chopping vegetables. It's about decision fatigue and task initiation.
Oh, right. Opening the fridge, staring blankly, wondering what to make, realizing you lack a key ingredient.
Exactly. That cognitive friction takes time and energy. By batching, you pay that cognitive tax once a week instead of 7 times a week.
That makes a ton of sense.
And you automate whatever you can put your bills on, auto pay, get your groceries delivered, so you remove the decision entirely. And perhaps most importantly, you minimize your possessions. Less stuff fundamentally means fewer background apps running in your brain that require organizing, cleaning, and maintaining.
You are systematically closing the tabs. I love that. But there's one area the book is very clear we should never try to optimize or minimize, and that is sleep.
Absolutely not.
Because the temptation is always there, right? I'll just sleep 5 hours instead of 8, and I'll magically gain 3 hours to work on my business.
Biologically, that is a complete disaster. If we look at the science of human performance, cutting sleep is the most dangerous trap of all. People view sleep as wasted time, as hours stolen from their 168-hour budget.
But it's actually the opposite.
Sleep is a time multiplier. It is the biological mechanism that ensures your waking hours are actually efficient. When you are sleep deprived, that cognitive friction we just talked about skyrockets.
Oh, I definitely feel that when I'm tired.
Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making, is compromised. Tiredness leads to slow thinking, impulsive decisions, and drastically increased procrastination.
Which wastes more time.
Right. You end up staring at a screen, taking 2 hours to do a task that would take a well-rested brain 20 minutes. You didn't gain 3 hours by skipping sleep. You basically lost your entire day to inefficiency.
So what does this all mean when we put it together? We stop sacrificing sleep, we close the background apps of our chores, and we focus intensely at work instead of just logging exhausting hours.
Right.
Suddenly, the math becomes real. We actually feel those 72 hours. Which brings us to what we actually do with them, the 4 pillars of a balanced life. Meaningful work, family relations, health and energy, and personal growth.
And the beauty of the 168-hour paradigm is realizing that achieving one of these pillars does not require sacrificing the others.
Really?
Yeah, let's look at the family pillar, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of people carry immense guilt about not spending enough time with their loved ones because they're working.
Right, but that guilt usually stems from a lack of mental presence, not a lack of literal hours on the clock, doesn't it?
Precisely. It's the emotional measurement again. You can spend an entire Saturday in the same room as your kids or your partner. But if you are half working on your laptop and half scrolling on your phone, you aren't actually there.
No, your attention is totally fractured.
One highly focused, completely distraction-free hour with a loved one playing a game, having a deep conversation, going for a walk, is infinitely better for the relationship than 3 hours of just existing in the same physical space while staring at screens.
So it really is quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me, and it touches on the personal growth pillar. We all have these dreams, right? We want to learn a language, write a screenplay, start a side hustle. And the universal lie we tell ourselves is, I'll do it when things slow down. I'll do it when I finally find the time.
Which is a massive trap because
Yeah.
time is never just found under a rock. It has to be actively created and allocated.
But apply the math of the 168-hour week here. This absolutely blew my mind. You don't need to quit your job and move to a cabin in the woods to pursue a passion.
Yeah, no, not at all.
If you just dedicate 5 hours a week to a personal goal that's less than an hour a day, or just one dedicated Saturday morning, that equals 260 hours a year.
And if you translate that into a standard 40-hour work week, 260 hours is roughly equivalent to an entire working month.
A whole month. You are dedicating an entire working month solely to your dream every single year without drastically changing your daily life or upending your responsibilities.
It's amazing when you frame it that way.
You just need 5 hours out of the 168. It completely shatters the excuse of, I don't have time.
It really does. It highlights the massive value of weekly thinking over daily pressure.
Right.
When we look at a 24-hour day, we think we have to do everything perfectly every single day. We think we need a 2-hour workout every single day to hit the health pillar.
Which is impossible.
Right. And when we inevitably fail to fit that in because a Tuesday got chaotic, we throw our hands up and quit altogether.
But with weekly thinking, you realize that 3 solid 45-minute workout sessions spread across 168 hours is more than enough. Yeah, you don't need daily exhaustion. You need consistent, high-quality engagement over the span of the week.
Exactly.
Okay, I am entirely sold on the math. The 5-hour rule is so completely achievable for almost anyone. But this raises a massive elephant in the room.
What's that?
If the math is so clear, what is the invisible barrier stopping us? Why aren't we all writing novels and speaking 3 languages? And this brings us to what I think is the most profound psychological insight in the entire book. It's how we define our tasks and how we view our own self-image.
Yes. This raises a crucial question about the true nature of procrastination.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Culturally, we tend to view procrastination as a moral failing. We think it's just laziness. We think we just lack willpower.
Yep, that's what I always tell myself.
But neurologically, procrastination is completely misunderstood. It's not laziness, it is a reaction to ambiguity.
The reaction to ambiguity. Let's really dig into this because this changes everything. What do you mean by ambiguity?
Well, the human brain actively avoids tasks that are undefined or vague because ambiguity requires a massive amount of cognitive energy to resolve.
Okay.
If you want to learn a language and you put learn Spanish on your Saturday schedule, your brain looks at that and literally panics. It thinks, I don't know exactly what that means. Do I buy a book? Do I watch a movie? Where do I even start?
It feels overwhelmingly large and foggy.
Yes, that ambiguity creates massive cognitive friction.
It's like a high-calorie burn for the brain just to figure out step 1.
Exactly. It is a survival mechanism to conserve energy. So, faced with a high-friction fog of learn Spanish, your brain desperately seeks out a low-friction, highly defined alternative.
Like scrolling through social media.
Yes. The brain knows exactly what the reward is, it requires 0 setup, and it burns 0 calories.
Oh.
So the solution to procrastination isn't screaming at yourself to have more willpower. The solution is absolute clarity. You have to define the exact physical next step of a task and tie it to a specific time.
So instead of writing learn Spanish on my calendar, I write Saturday at 10 a.m., sit at the kitchen table and complete 1 Duolingo lesson.
Precisely. You cleared the fog. You gave your brain a specific, actionable directive. When the ambiguity is gone, the cognitive friction drops, and the procrastination usually evaporates right along with it.
That makes so much sense. We aren't avoiding the work. We are avoiding the fog. But there is another psychological barrier here, and it has to do with our modern culture. We have a total, almost pathological obsession with being busy.
Oh, absolutely. In today's world, being busy has morphed into a false status symbol. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We act as if having 0 free time is undeniable proof that we are important, valuable, and in demand.
Oh, 100%. If someone asks how you are doing and you say, actually, I'm super relaxed, I have plenty of free time, people look at you like you're a failure or like you're doing something wrong.
It's deeply ingrained. But Vanderkam draws a very sharp, necessary distinction here between a full life and a busy life.
Okay, what's the difference?
A full life is packed tightly with things you actively chose, things you love, and things that align with those 4 pillars. A busy life is packed with obligations you never consciously agreed to, inefficient chores, and other people's priorities.
So it comes down to intention.
Yes, the key difference between the two is the awareness of choice. Are you driving the schedule, or is the schedule driving you?
Man. So what does this all mean for you right now listening to this? How do you actually move from that busy life to a full life? The book offers a final, incredibly practical exercise. Sit down with a blank calendar and write out your ideal 168-hour week as if it were reality right now.
Just map it all out.
Yeah. Don't write down what you think you can do or what you feel obligated to do based on other people's expectations. Write down what you actually want to live.
Put in the 8 hours of sleep. Put in the deep, focused, quality work hours. Block out the 5 hours for your passion project. Schedule the distraction-free family time.
And then compare that ideal canvas to your current baseline reality from your time log. What you will find, and this is honestly the most hopeful part of the entire process, is that the required adjustments are usually really small.
They're tweaks, not revolutionary overhaul.
Right. You don't have to quit your job and move to an ashram. You might just have to stop scrolling for an hour a night, clearly define your next steps to avoid ambiguity, and move your chores to a Sunday afternoon batching session.
Yeah, and if there's one ultimate philosophical takeaway from everything we've looked at today, it is time is not actually a scarce resource.
Which sounds crazy at first.
But it's true. You have 168 hours. You have those 72 hours of unallocated free time. Time is abundant. Attention is the true, rare commodity.
Oh, that is such a powerful distinction. Time is abundant. Attention is scarce.
People don't fail to live fulfilling, balanced lives because they literally run out of hours on the clock. They fail because their energy and their attention become too scattered. They let the tiny leaks The background apps, the ambiguity, the cultural pressure to be busy completely drain their battery. When you shift your perspective to the week and you guard your attention fiercely, you realize you have all the time you need to be exactly who you want to be.
Guarding your attention. That completely shifts how I'm going to look at my calendar tomorrow morning. It's not about finding the time, it's about directing the focus. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the 168-hour week. We genuinely hope you're walking away from this feeling completely empowered to take back control of your schedule.
It really is entirely in your hands once you see the math and understand your own psychology.
Absolutely. And remember, if you want to keep exploring game-changing ideas like this and join a community of curious minds, make sure to subscribe to the BookSnap channel so you never miss out. We appreciate you spending some of your 168 hours with us. Now go look at your week, find those 3 extra days that have been hiding in plain sight, and ask yourself, what are you going to build with them?